we doing? So, I know it's not a Polaris. It's a Honda. Honda Recon, actually. Believe it or not, this was one of my first quads that I bought when I was a kid. Saved up. Dad helped me get a loan, and I bought a 97 green Recon. So, these old Recons have a little bit of a special place in my heart. They're actually really good machines, and I do fix a lot of Recons, believe it or not. So this episode's going to be changing the jug out. She smokes pretty bad. Rings are probably just shot. So I'm going to be going through how to do a top end rebuild on it. They're pretty simple, straightforward. Need some other things like brakes and whatnot. So we might have a couple little videos on fixing a Recon up. So with that being said, let's get at it. Alright, so first thing you want to do, seat comes off. There's a black cover up here that's usually held in by some pop rivets. Pop that cover off to get towards the gas tank. And then you want to take your side panels off, which this one's off. You gotta take this one off. Pretty straightforward. Get your side covers off, which I already got this one off. This tool is awesome. This is the pop rivet tool. Basically goes in there, grabs the rivet. Hang on, I can grab it. There we go. Pops it right out. This tool is awesome. When I worked at the body shop, I used to pull lots of pop rivets out. So there's a couple different ones that I use, but pretty straightforward. Just pop your covers off, just like that. So covers, both side covers. This top cover, which is already off, it's going to have 4 pop rivets here and here. You take the gas cap off, and then it kind of just slides back and off. And then the next thing is going to be getting the fuel tank off, which is 2 10mm bolts here. Back here, there's rubber straps, which are missing on this, but you take the rubber straps off, and then you can get the gas tank off. So I'm going to get the gas tank out. Again, shut your fuel off, and pretty much just undo your fuel line from the carburetor, and the gas, everything comes out as one. So I'm going to get that done, and we'll get to the next. Next thing you're going to do is take these 3 12 mils out. Okay, take those 3 out, undo your choke, which there's a little set screw that holds the cable to the bracket, and then you just pull it out of the choke lever. I can get it. These things can be a pain in the butt sometimes. There we go. Pull your choke off, and then undo your throttle. And pull your throttle off and set your cables to the side. Now that that's off, and there might be a vacuum hose, just pop that off the carb. Now you can take this off, and there's a little bushing. It goes in here. Sometimes it sticks to the head or it falls down, so make sure you get that out because the bushing goes in there. It's part of the engine mount. And there we go. And there's the top of the engine. So pretty easy. There's not much you got to take apart to gain access to these Recon engines. So really easy. So the next thing we're going to do is pop the air box off, which is just a couple of those pop rivets, a clamp, get the air box off, and then remove the carburetor, which is just 2 12mm bolts on either side. So we'll get that out. Okay, so now the next thing you're going to want to do is take the valve cover rocker assembly off. And it's just these 10mm. So I always break everything free with a wrench, and then I hit them with the gun. Because breaking them free with the gun, sometimes you'll stamp the bolt. And at least using a wrench, you can feel what it's doing. Okay. And then let's take them all out. These two are shorter than the rest. All the other ones are longs. Got that one right there. Okay. And then just kind of, and up it comes. And there you go. There's your, oops, dropped one. So there's your rockers. There's your adjusters there. So you actually adjust through these. We'll show how to do that. So there's your valve cover rocker assembly. And there's the top of your cylinder head. And pretty much pull your push rods out. And your valve cover gasket, which this is reusable. It's a metal gasket. Just clean it up and reuse it. Or you can call Honda and buy one, but I reuse them, so. All right, so next thing we're gonna wanna do is get the exhaust off, which is these two nuts basically. Just loosen those and you can kind of slide the exhaust forward on it. Sometimes you gotta loosen the muffler and you can just slide it off. And then pretty much take your jug bolt nuts off, which there's only 4. There's 2 here and there's 2 on this side. And then you got the 2 in here. So there's 6 total, 4 on the outside and 2 here. And that's gonna get our cylinder head jug assembly off. So I'm gonna get that and we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got the 4 12mm nuts off. Sometimes it pulls the stud out too. That's okay. And then you got 2 10mm bolts over here. Once you get your exhaust, just unbolt the muffler, pull the exhaust forward a little bit, and then you can grab the cylinder head and slide it right up. And there's your cylinder head. Not bad. Okay, so we're going to get this serviced. We're going to do valve seals. Show you how to do that. And that leaves your jug. And then all you got to do to get your jug off, same thing. There you go, just wiggle it and slide your jug off. And there's your jug. And I don't know if there's no cross hatching left. All the cross hatching is pretty much gone. So that's why she was burning. That's why she was burning. And then you got your piston right here. So let me set up the camera different and I'll show you how to get the piston off. All right, so to get the piston off, you have your little circlip in here. Just take a pair of needle nose, grab the end of the circlip and pull it off. There's your circlip. And then you can take your needle nose again and from the other way, from the other side, push your wrist pin out. Sometimes these things get stuck. See, even when I struggle with stuff, I still show you guys. And that wrist pin is really in there. Okay, we got it out. It was just really stuck in there. Mainly because, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but where the oil is supposed to go in there, see it's pretty gummed up. So the wrist pin essentially was getting melted to the piston. So now you can see here on the piston, see all the skirt scratching. That's due to bad rings and the piston actually, the skirt actually rubbing on the cylinder wall. It's not too bad on this side. A little bit here, a little bit there. But if you see, your second compression ring is loose. You know, it pops out, does what it's supposed to do. But the top compression ring is stuck. It's actually fused itself to the piston. And you can actually see all the pitting. Hang on. You can actually see all the pitting on the piston. So this is what happens. Bad rings. Yeah, she was definitely wobbling around in there. Got a nice beveled edge here. Man, it was definitely putting a lot of pressure on the one side. But, and these pistons, they'll rattle around it. It'll sound like you got a bad bearing, and it's just the piston rattling. So, all right, so we got that out. And now, there we go, guys. There's a rod. It's a little side-to-side movement's okay. You want to make sure you don't have any up and down. There's no up and down in it, so should be good on that. And sometimes they've got a replaceable bearing in here, little sleeve, so we'll have to check the kit. So let's see. Let's get the kit opened up and we'll go from there. But pretty much next thing is just clean all this all up, and then we can start installing parts. So here's our cylinder kit from Amazon. I think it was like $70. Not too bad. I mean, it's not Honda quality, no. But it will get the job done. And on an older machine, why have to spend a lot? And actually, this looks like a really nice kit so far. So we got that. It's our new platinum spark plug. Here's our piston. Much better shape. Pretty good quality. Pretty good quality. Nice, very nice. Comes with your new wrist pins, or new wrist pin circlips for the wrist pin. And if I open this up, this guy will probably slide right in there like butter. Like butter. See? Slides in like nothing. That's the way it's supposed to be. Should just slide right in. So that looks good. There's our piston. Okay. There's our valve seals. New valve seals. Wrist pin, circlips. There's your rings. Wow, really nice packaging job on this one. I'll put a link in the description for all the parts I got. But very nice packaging job. So now here comes your jug, wrapped up, double wrap. So it's wrapped in bubble wrap and in a nice protective sleeve with lots of oil. Nice. Wow, for $70, I'm pretty pleased. And it even got the Honda numbers. These might be Honda parts. HN62, I mean, I'm pretty sure these are all Honda parts that this company buys. They probably buy a bunch in bulk. But that's a Honda, that's a Honda jug, and same with the piston. The piston's got Honda numbers on it. And usually the copycat, you know, parts don't go that in depth. So then we get more packaging on the bottom of this. Yep, and there's your gaskets. Your head gasket and your base gasket. Nice. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description below. And yeah, right there, cylinder 250. Wow, this is going so far so good. This company's gonna get a pretty good review from me. See how this all plays out. Okay, So let's start putting it back together. Okay, so pretty much all you're gonna do is just clean up the top of your crankcase. I like to pop the lifters out. I use a magnet. And you just grab the lifters, drop the excess oil down in there. So there's that lifter. They're really just buckets. They're not even, you just kind of get all the oil out of them. Just wipe them off. And then pretty much look at them. You know, doesn't look horrible. The bottom's looking good. Yeah, it looks all good. So there's one lifter. Because these aren't hydraulic lifters like in a car. They're just mechanical lifters. I don't really need oil to pump up or anything. Same thing. We're going to check it. It all looks good. Okay. Some more cleaning. Just a rag. That's all you need. Any gasket material, take a little bit of like a razor blade. You can get any of your gasket material off. We're going to clean this all up nice. And I'm looking at the camshaft right now. You can look at your cam through here. You can grab your pole start and you can rotate the engine around. And look at your cam lobes, which they look pretty good. I don't see any issues with the cam lobes. Motor spins pretty good. So when I start assembling it all back together, I use assembly lube on everything. I get this stuff, Ultra Slick. It's made by Permatex. There's your item number 81950, so everybody can see that. And I put this on everything. So basically, you don't need a lot on the parts. You know, a little dab on your lifter. Stick it in. A little dab on your lifter. Do it on the side. You can smush it around if you want. Get it as like jelly. It's pretty nice. So put our lifters back in. Put a little bit in our cam buckets or push rod buckets like that. This way, when you start the engine, everything is nice and lubed. No dry starting. And put a little bit in there. Okay. All right, and that's pretty much it. I mean, just clean it up nice, and then you go on to doing your piston. So let's get the piston done. Okay, so basically what you want to do is you start with your oil ring. This corrugated ring goes on first. Now this gap, basically you want everything. You want 120, 120, 120. It's pretty easy. So take your corrugated oil ring first. Start at the end. And we're going to put it very carefully. Just stretch it around. You don't want to stretch it too much because they can break. And then you want it to just butt. You don't want these to overlap. They just butt up against each other. So we got that gap there. Now your oil rings are these smaller ones. And it doesn't really matter which way they go. And what I do is generally 1 inch away from this split. So this is going to be, I start with the bottom. So the bottom gap is going to be over here. Okay, about 1 inch away. And to do that, God, this is so hard to do on the camera. And I take my glasses off. so I can see. All right, so basically just get it started in, put it under it, and just slowly walk it around. Just keep walking it. Hold this thumb will keep your gap over there. And you just very slowly just keep walking it. See how that one's popping out a bit? It's laying over top of itself. But there you go. Okay, there's the bottom one in. And you just take your time. Now, same thing with the upper one. We're gonna go 1 inch over basically. And just start it in there. Like that. And just start walking it. And you just walk it around. That. And walk it. Boom. So now your corrugated split is right here. Your top ring's here and your other ring's here. So next part will be the upper rings. So now you're going to put on your second ring, which is your scraper ring. Now all rings have a mark or numbers or something on them, like right, camera probably won't show it, but they're right there. Whatever's marked always faces up on the piston. And then always consult the instructions that came with your ring, because rings can be a little bit different. Now this one's just got a normal square cut cast oil scraper ring. In the compression ring, you can tell the difference because it's got, see this silver? So this is your top, your compression ring. But like I said, every kit's different. Just consult your kit and it will tell you. So now we want to do 120 from this point. So this ring we're going to want over here. So basically just start it here. Get it in your groove. And push it around. And I'm just going to push it around. Like so. And then you may have to move it a little bit to get it exactly in your spot. There we go. So that one is there, 120 off from that. And then your top one, same thing, basically 120 off. Same thing, just work it around and in. There we go. Those are in. So next we'll do the wrist pin. Okay, so now that we got everything in, now you got to put your circlip in. So I always start, in means intake, or there might be an arrow that's always for the intake. So I always go on the exhaust side. What you're going to want to do is take the end of this and start it in that little dimple there. So you just kind of, again, I'm sorry if camera work here is not that great, but okay, you just get it started in there. So you got to be careful because they go flying all over the place. So it's always good to do this where you can control everything. Oh, there we go. Get that started in the groove here. And then sometimes you can just push it with your finger like that. And it snaps right in. That's it. So that's in. And then, again, some assembly lube on the wrist pin. Just a little bit. Stuff goes a long way. Very tacky. Just put it in. I usually always put it in, make sure it fits all the way, and then we're good. I'm going to push it back out. Okay, so now you get it started like that, and then pretty much, for you guys over here, camera set up a little better here for y'all. Hang on. All right, there we go. So now, just take your piston, lay your piston on your rod, and push on your wrist pin. Just gotta find that sweet spot. There it is. And push your wrist pin in. And then you take your next circlip, put it in, just like you did on the other side. But what I do here is I always take a rag and you fill up your cylinder hole here. This way, if you drop your circlip, it doesn't fall down into the engine. So I'm gonna put that in, but I'm gonna do it off camera because I wanna make sure I don't screw it up. So I'll be right back, but there you go, pistons. What I do is I take 2 wrenches. There's a special tool that's meant to hold the piston, but wrenches work as well. So you put 2 pistons over your jug hole like that, and then there. Rotate your piston down. That just helps when you're pushing on the jug. It's got something to push against. And now, you take your jug. Before we put the jug on, we gotta put our base gasket on. So, I take my wrenches out and put my base gasket on. We'll raise that back up. Take our wrenches out. Okay. Now we're gonna put our base gasket on. Okay. Gasket just slides down like.
I wanted to add this in here because I screwed up. So with that base gasket, it only goes on one way. If you look here, okay, see this oil port right there? So you got to make sure that the gasket lines up with the oil port in the block and the oil port in the cylinder, which the oil port's towards the front of the motor. So usually the painted material, could be any color, goes towards the crank. I screwed up, put it all together, torqued it all down, and went, shit. And I put the gasket on upside down, so I had to take everything off. So we'll see, even I screw up. But I just want to add that in there. And also, make sure that you put your dowels back in. You'll have 2 dowels on the crank to cylinder, and then you're going to have 2 dowels for the cylinder to the cylinder head. So just make sure you put those in there. So I just wanted to do a little public service announcement. So let's get back to the video.
Perfect. All right, 2 wrenches. Rotate piston down. Okay, perfect. And then do your final check. Make sure your ring gaps are where they are supposed to be. And we look good. Now you take your jug. And you don't need to, I don't lubricate these. Listen, some people say lubricate, some say don't. So I'm not telling you what to do, but I don't lubricate my cylinders. I like them dry. So I'm gonna slide our jug on. Now, once it gets down to the piston, the bottom of the jug is conical, so it will kind of work the piston rings in, and you just got to kind of push them in a little bit with your finger, push the jug down, push it in with your finger, go one at a time. You don't want to break anything at this point. And there we go. Now you can rotate your crank up a little bit. It's going to push your jug up. Pull. Get your wrenches out. And now you can push the jug the rest of the way down. There we go. Once you got your jug in, hold it down and just hold it down like this and turn your crank. And perfect. We seem good. Okay, there we go. Now let's get those pesky valve seals done. So as we can see, valves are really carboned up. So we got to get these valves out, get them clean and re-lapped. So you're gonna need a valve spring tool. These are available on Amazon. And pretty much, you just find the cap that fits the top of the seat. That fits right in the seat, like that. Okay. And you're gonna get your bar out. And basically, this goes together with a bunch of adapters and stuff, so. Alright. These are all your adapters. So I'm gonna get this together and then I'll show you the process. So it comes with a couple different rods. One rod's got the hole, that's so you can turn it. The other two are just set rods. So depending on how big your cylinder head, you might need a short or a long. We need the long. So just the long, and then your spring keeper just locks on like that. Real simple. Put the butt of this one in the middle of your spring. This one come up, spin it down. Make sure you're in the middle of your spring. Okay, and then take your rod. The rod goes in like so. And you just tighten. And this is going to push the valve spring down. As long as I don't drop stuff. And this is going to allow the keepers to fall out. So just keep pushing it down until you have enough room. Boy, I keep dropping stuff. Get your keepers out. Okay. Here's one keeper out. There's two, and sometimes you just gotta. There we go again. And there's your keepers. Okay, you got your two keepers out. Save these. Get your rod that you keep dropping on the floor. And now just take the pressure off your spring. Just take it off nice and easy. And it's gonna go a little further because you gotta take all the pressure off, but there you go. Once you get the pressure off, slip your tool off. Your spring guide or top plate, whatever you want to call it. Take your valve spring off. Take your inner valve spring off. Some have two springs. Hondas have two on the Recons. And then you can push your valve out. There's your valve. You can actually look here. This one don't look bad. It looks like it was sealing okay. And here too, so. All right. So I'm going to get the other side apart, get this cleaned up a bit, and then we'll go with how to lap the valves in. Okay, so we're going to lap the valves now. So you get valve, oop, there it is. Valve grinding compound. Put it on the seat of the valve, all the way around. There's a couple ways you can do it. Put our valve in like that. So if you don't, this is the tool. Basically it's a suction cup. It goes on the valve. And you go back and forth like that. And you'll hear it grind. Or if you don't have that, you can do it this way. finger down here, grab your stem up here, and just back and forth. Just like that. Back and forth. And you just keep doing it. You'll hear it get smoother and smoother and smoother. Then you can always, what I do is you take the valve, kind of puck it around like that. Okay. Gets real tight again because you're cutting it, and then it loosens up. And kind of move it around. So, then you pull it out and grab a rag. This one. And you're going to wipe the lapping compound off. That's what it should look like. Let me bring you guys into the light here so you can see better. So that's what it should look like. Nice and clean all the way around the edge. Okay? And then when you clean out your cylinder head, it's going to be the same thing. Okay, basically just wipe your lapping compound out. Yeah, let me catch the light here. There you go, see? Nice clean seat. All the way, see, it cuts all the carbon off. Okay, so that's all you got to do to lap your valves in. So I'm going to do this one, and then we're going to... now you can replace the valves, but if you replace the valves, you have to do this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one lapped in. We're going to wash this down one last time. I've already pulled the valve seals off, which are up here, and they're just these rubber caps. So I have new ones that we're going to put on there. So here, let me finish this up. I'll be right back. So we got everything washed down. So now here's our new valve seals. These are pretty simple. Like I said, the old ones just slide off, the new ones slide back on. I'm just going to take the valve seal, slide it over, and make sure sometimes there's a one for one side and one for the other side. These are the same, so you slide it over your valve, push it over your valve, and then down. Same thing. Down. Lock it onto your valve. Okay. There we go. Now pretty much assembly is the same as before. Okay. And put your springs on. We're going to put our springs on. Put your key top plate on. Use your valve tool, compress your spring down. You push it down until you can see the keeper grooves, which are right here. Once you see the keeper grooves, drop your keepers down in. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll be go from there. All right. So we're going to get put your head gasket on, and then take your cylinder head. Here it is, all completed. Valves are in. Everything that needs to be cleaned is cleaned. So pretty much just slide her on. Slide her on. Let's get it on the studs. Yeah, come on. Spark plug wires. Come on. There we go. That spark plug wire was holding me up. Okay, just like that. Now, we'll put our washers on. Now, this one, the stud came out. So I'm going to put the washer on like that. Get her down in. Okay. Washer, washer, washer. Then our nuts. So you're gonna have two clean ones. The clean ones go on the inside, here and here. You're gonna have two dirty or rusty ones, and those are the outside ones. Okay, put those on. Well, of course, this one came free from the stud, so I want to twist that stud in and get it down in there. There we go. Okay, so all those are in. So you're going to torque these to 22 foot-pounds each. I go in a crisscross pattern starting here. So 22, 22, 22, 22, and then do it again. 22, 22, 22, 22. Once that's torqued down, then you're going to take your outside bolts. Yeah, two over here. Stick them in. And you're going to torque these to 8 foot-pounds. Once that's done, everything, your cylinder's back on. And then you can work on getting your valve cover back on. So let me go ahead and get these torqued down, and then we'll get the valve cover assembly on. So next thing we're going to do is drop the push rods in. They just go down the holes into those buckets at the bottom. And you'll feel them kind of slide into their pockets. Okay. You're going to take your valve cover gasket. Slide it. Make sure you got your two dowels here and here. Those are alignment dowels. And then I'm going to take some of our assembly lube. Where did that go? There it is. I got it. It's right here. Okay, and we're going to put a little bit on top of each of the valves. Like that. Drizzle it this way. And on top of the push rods, just like that. It's best to have this at top dead center, that way you're not pushing pressure on your valves. So you want your, otherwise one push rod may be up and it's going to be hard putting the cover on. So now you just take your cover and one of our dowels got stuck in here. There we go. You just pretty much slide your cover down. It's going to engage those dowels. There we go. She's in. But you want to make sure it's at top dead center and you have those valves down. Now, let's go back through. I'm going to put all these guys back in. So the next part, we got rocker, valve cover assembly all tightened back up. Started putting the exhaust pipe back on. But what we're going to do next is we're going to want to adjust the valves. So using a 17mm wrench or socket, take your valve caps off. Okay. And then using a 10mm wrench, you're going to want to loosen your jam nut. Now you want to check it. Now, whoever had this before, these were way too tight. I couldn't even get a feeler gauge in here. So what you're going to want to do is check in here with a feeler gauge. Now, of course, I've loosened this way up for demonstration purposes. So, before you even do that, you're going to want to make sure, though, that you're on top dead center. And to achieve that, down here on the side of the engine is your timing plug, which is this guy right here. It goes right there. Okay, that's your timing plug. Using a 7mm Allen, remove this timing plug. And with your spark plug out, so you don't have compression, pull your pull cord until you see, you're going to see two dashes, then you're going to see an F and then a T. The T, you want to line up with the little indent. There's a little arrow on the case here. So you want to put T with the arrow on the case, and that's top dead center. And that'll take all the pressure off your valve train. Then
you can properly adjust these. So like I said, these were way over tight. So I'm gonna stick my feeler gauge in. Basically, you just keep turning that center portion in until you can't turn it anymore with your fingers. Now you shouldn't have any play up and down in the rocker. When you pull on your feeler gauge, see, you have some slight resistance. Pull it out, and you should feel a little bit of bounce. That's perfect. And then you can push your feeler gauge back in. You're right where you're supposed to be. So now you take your lock nut, turn it down with your hand. Sometimes you gotta hold that center piece. Sometimes you don't. So you just gotta watch it and see if that center piece moves. If it does, you're gonna have to hold it with a wrench. There you go. Lock down your nut. And there you go. Perfect. A little bit of play. Feeler gauge goes in. No play. That's it. It's 0.005 on both sides. Right there, 0.005. So you do your intake, and you come over, do the same thing to your exhaust. Once that's done, put your caps on, put your timing plug in, and then you're pretty much ready to put this all back together. So I'm gonna finish up the exhaust portion. Then our timing will be all set, and then I'm going to get everything else here put together. New spark plug, get the carb back on, airbox, exhaust, and then we'll get this thing fired up and get it broken. All right, we got it all back together. Let's fire it up. It's going to be a little ticky because everything's dry, but... Sounds good. Sounds really good. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do is, there's a bolt right here. You take that bolt out and you start it. You should do it after an oil change too. And you start it and you run it till oil starts dribbling out of there. That way you know you got oil going up to your top end. So, but there we go. Not too bad. Little Honda Recon upper end rebuild. Hey, I'm back. I'm putting another clip in here. I just want to let everybody know that the oil pump is bad in the Recon. I have no oil pressure at the top end. So I'll be doing a video how to change the oil pump on a Recon. I guess this is what happens when your kid dumps it in a pond. I don't know. That's what the owner told me. They dumped it in a pond. It's been an issue. So we're going to be doing an oil pump on the Recon here shortly. And there it is. Still in here. There it is. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be doing, we're going to be putting an oil pump in it. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is really my first like step-by-step how to do something. So hopefully it works. And we'll go from there. So everyone have a wonderful day. It's Sunday right now. I'm just relaxing. So I will catch you all on the next one.